everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today it is our last episode of the week for this week in the month?
Yeah, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you watch Top Gun.
I don't want to watch Top Gun.
And then I'm going to make you watch the second one. And you know why?
I don't want to watch either one.
Because you wouldn't watch Chippendales.
That's not true.
And I had to do it all alone.
No, I'll watch Chippendales.
No, you can't. That's already been done last Saturday.
I'm not watching Top Gun.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
I'm putting my foot down.
Well,
okay,
I'm going to put my foot doubly down.
Well, have fun with that because...
Yeah, I will. I have other things to do. Better things to do than watch Tom Cruise.
I do too. And you know what? I'm going
to watch Mission Impossible.
We literally could have... Well, that's coming out next year. We literally could have skipped this Masterchef Jr. episode because it was exactly what we thought would happen.
Both thought would happen.
Exactly. Like, there was no sort of... I guess the only hesitation was, are they going to send him home? Are they going to finally do what's right and get rid of Mafia Don for like the millionth time?
And he did what we thought he would do. They had two teams, and the team he was on, he was screwing them up.
And this was Season 8, Episode 11, The Restaurant Takeover.
Yes. And this just doesn't affect the people in the group. This affects
the diners.
Strangers, the diners are coming in there to eat a meal.
And they're like, oh, my food is terrible.
I don't know if they paid or they were just, this was a special thing for them. They could participate because this was for that show. I have no idea how this worked. But, I mean, if you were to get a meal like that at that restaurant and just pay for it, it probably would cost a lot of money.
If I had to guess, I would say that maybe the celebrities don't have to pay and they just get invited. Or they ask Gordon to come, and then if he lets them, then they don't have to pay. And then everyone else in the restaurant has to pay. That's what I would guess.
I don't know. But the only reason why I brought that up was because they really do have to put out a good product. And then, of course, you can see, like Marco has brought up in previous episodes, that when you do these group challenges, the weaknesses become exposed. And we have seen the entire season. Not just one episode, not just two, not just one group episode, not just two, in every single one, that this boy,
Mafia
Aiden,
Don,
whatever his name is,
Mafia Don,
he screwed up. And the thing is, I was just thinking about, I mean, for adults, because I watched a lot of cooking shows, and for children, both, you know, they'll make mistakes. They've all made a mistake in an episode. And even tonight, Leah made a mistake with her fish. And it wasn't
cooked enough. And then she started crying. And she was like,
she feels she has to be perfect. And she actually does. I mean, she has to do... she does... If there's something there's not cooked, he's not going to be... Gordon is not going to be happy. So, but anyway, she made the mistake. She picked herself up off the floor, and because she was in a little bit of a cry muddle, not too bad.
That was like for 2 seconds though. Like
it's just 2 seconds.
They had to reach to find moments from the blue team that were bad
because they were all good.
They reached to the bottom of the barrel, and meanwhile the red team with Mafia Don was like
one thing after another.
Exactly how we knew what would happen. I mean, it was no surprise. I said, this kid would be perfect for Hell's Kitchen. You know, the people on Hell's Kitchen, there's a lot of bullies and people who think they're like better than everyone. And it would have been really good for him to be in Hell's Kitchen grown up because he would just destroy everyone because no one would want to work with him.
That's right. And the thing is, though, in everything I've ever seen, somebody's made a mistake. But after that, they recoup and they move on, and everything turns out however it's going to turn out. And this kid, in this night's episode, he made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and it didn't end. I mean, did he ever really get to the end without? It just went on and on and on, like every segment. You know, they have a segment, they play commercial, then
Oh
they go
well,
to the next segment.
the executive chef, he said that the steak had a good char. It had it had a good sear. So like that one steak out of the whole restaurant had a good sear.
Yeah, you should have seen the rest of them.
We should have tasted them too, because apparently they were all over salted. Which honestly, the only thing that he had in this episode, Mafia Don, the only thing good that came out of him this episode was there was this part where it was actually probably the best part of the episode because it didn't involve him like viciously attacking his own team and like just basically sabotaging his own team.
Well, tell them what he said at the end of it.
Well, no, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the middle of something now, so.
Believe it.
But the executive chef was explaining what to do and how to make all this food, and he said, only put salt on the steak. And then Mafia Don was like, what about pepper? And then he's like, no pepper. And I was like, what the F? Like, no pepper? Like, really? I would never, like, who wouldn't want to eat a steak without pepper on it? Like, pepper is essential for steak. You have salt and pepper. And so he probably thought, I need to overcompensate for the lack of pepper by putting more salt on it.
Maybe.
So that's what I think what happened. But he did have a good point, like, what about pepper? Like, everyone eats steak. Like, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? Like, it's steak. You put salt, pepper, and butter on it. And then you fry it in a pan however you want to. You don't have to sear it. And it should be medium well. Oops. Oh, I should have said medium rare. Not. Because I will only eat medium well.
I know. I tried the medium rare because we'd seen so many cooking shows. Well, they all say it's a mantra. Actually, it must be something in the modern cooking school where when you go there and you learn how to cook steak, it has to be cooked medium rare. That's like on page 10 of the book or something, of the textbook.
It's sort of, well, you know what it's like? It's kind of like how in school when you used to do those quizzes where the teacher would ask the class, what flavor of ice cream do you like, chocolate or vanilla? And everyone felt like they had to say chocolate because if you say that you like vanilla over chocolate, then you're a fucking weirdo. That's what it's like to me. It's like, oh, you can't say medium well because you have to like medium rare. Just like you have to prefer chocolate over vanilla. And, well, what about Rocky Road? And mint chocolate chip? And the list goes on until Safi falls asleep.
I'm not going to fall asleep.
Really?
My eyes are, I don't know, funny.
Probably from staring at too much. Oh, okay, I won't make that joke.
Too much Masterchef crap with this kid. Anyway.
And then after that, there was a funny part where the executive chef was explaining about this weird broccoli thing where there was broccoli puree, broccoli, and broccoli flowers. And Molly, gummy worm Molly, she just had like the most befuddled look on her face. She couldn't comprehend like what they were talking about. Like, what is this we're making? Like broccoli
Is he talking
relish?
about florets?
He said broccoli flowers. And then he said, here's the broccoli relish. And she was like, she was cringing. because she's never going to eat that at home. You know, she's going to go home and probably eat like a half a chicken with barbecue sauce.
And potato salad. And beans.
And some
and
beans. And corn. And what would be the drink? Iced tea.
Probably. And it'd probably be...
unsweet.
I'm not sure.
Well, she's in Missouri.
Yeah, but that's... we're not a...
you think that would be sweet or unsweet?
It would be...
Because
it would be unsweet, but it's getting... Where are they in... What'd she say? They're in Springfield?
I don't know.
It could be sweet tea. That depends.
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Or maybe she just has milk.
Yeah.
Which is better than tea in my opinion. So.
Well, for a kid too.
Especially if it's ice cold. Ice cold milk is more satisfying than ice cold tea.
I don't know about that on a hot day. A nice glass of iced tea with lemon and sugar.
Well, anyways.
Sounds good to me.
The guy said broccoli flowers. And then Gummy Worm Molly was like, I never heard of a broccoli flower.
I think he means florets.
No, the
Like
guy
the
said
crowns?
broccoli flowers.
I know he said that, but he might be. It's a regional thing.
I don't know. But that was hilarious because she's like the southern grill person and she just couldn't understand this sushi foo-foo food and cooking. Like, it was pretty funny. She's probably not going to win the title.
No.
I would predict. Even though she is good. Like, she does deserve to be here, in my opinion.
Better than that.
Way more than Mafia Don.
Yeah.
And so then they get on to cooking, and immediately they start having problems with Mafia Don. Where,
Not listening.
yeah, he's not listening, and he put on the calamari, and he put it on too early, and so he had to throw all this burnt calamari out.
Yeah.
And then he screwed it up again and again and again. And this just went on and on and on.
I know, he just kept screwing up.
And then the chefs were like, Ava, teacher girl, you need to communicate more. And what was funny was every time she tried to communicate, he would shut her down. And I was wondering why they didn't take that into consideration, because then Iran came over and Mafia Don would listen to him. And to me, I think that, I don't know, but it's like he's not going to listen to a girl in charge.
Yeah.
He'll only listen to a man. And so he refused to listen to Ava, and he kept on shutting her down when she would tell him to do things, and he said, "You're pressuring me to do the steak. You're putting too much pressure on me.
Yeah.
Turn down the pressure."
I don't know if you understand. These are people in the restaurant. They have ordered something to eat, so they're waiting for their dinner.
Yeah, this is their dinner.
So this thing about pressure,
They're hungry.
he's supposed to be cooking for them. That's what that's all about. So what is he talking about? That's what I'm saying.
And then there was a brief moment where Iran came over and he helped, which was really funny because it seemed a little like they made it, like Gordon called Iran over there, and it was like, oh look, there's Gordon's little bitch coming to his attention and like doing his bidding for him and going over there to help him, while Gordon just stands there and like shouts at people. Shouts like, "You're doing a bad job. Stop it. Wake up." Meanwhile, Iran comes over and actually helps them.
He does. He was very teachable.
Yeah.
And helpful and kind.
He's pretty good when he's not biased. Like, he's a pretty good teacher.
Well, he seems
and
like
judge.
he's like a parent.
Yeah.
He acts like a parent when he does that, which I think is very nice, because sometimes, I mean, maybe all the time, Gordon he's treating them like they're adults, like it's Hell's Kitchen, like you said, or
I think
something.
he does that on purpose because he thinks the audience expects him to do that
But not with children.
because it's his brand.
Well, I don't give a damn.
Which
These are kids.
It's funny though, Safi, because he didn't throw any shade at Mafia Don hardly.
I know.
And even when he did, Mafia Don didn't even care.
I didn't hear it.
To the point near the end where the Mafia Don literally said to his team, "We're in the top 6. We don't need Gordon Ramsay. We're in the top 6 of America." And he's talking about the top 6 kids that are just on MasterChef Jr. Like, that's not counting all the kids who don't want to be on MasterChef Jr., didn't get accepted on a MasterChef Jr. It's too small a sample size, is what they call it. Mm-hmm. And then you're not even taking into account the adults, all the real chefs that have Michelin stars, all the chefs like Aaron, maybe Daphne when she stops crying about chocolate and kiwi combinations. He's only saying that the MasterChef Junior people are in the top 6, and then you have Mafia Don, and Mafia Don has the gall to say, "We're in the top 6. We don't need Gordon Ramsay." God. And then at the end, he just like falls flat on his face, and they really fail. The team. The only thing that was redeeming about the team was My Fair MasterChef Jr.
Yeah, a little tiny girl with pearls.
And that was actually the funny part of the episode, was that she was doing really good. And then you had Ava, and she was surviving because she was just trying to get Mafia Don to do his work. And then Mafia Don would screw things up again. And so he really threw Ava off her game.
Yeah.
And then the blue team, by the way, they didn't really have any problems. They just had like 2 problems.
Little tiny, and they were resolved. Right after they were, like I said, they learned from their mistakes. They scraped themselves up off the floor, and they moved on.
Gummy Worm Molly had an undercooked steak, and then Leah had an undercooked bass.
Sea bass.
And they both fixed it.
Yes, they did.
That's the end. That's it. That's all that they had problems with.
Instead of just making mistake after mistake after mistake. I mean,
and I kind of like that. I kind of like watching their team because it showed that those 3 chefs deserve to be there, that they're all capable of handling the pressure of the top 6. And then you have the red team, they were the opposite.
Yeah.
I was just thankful they didn't pick Mafia Don to be team captain. Because then what might have happened was they might have sent home Ava because he would sabotage her more as captain, in my opinion.
And I don't really think he knew that he was doing that either.
No, it's just a natural.
He's just full of himself.
Yeah, and it's just because he hasn't really learned yet, and that's what Aaron said at the end, was that this is a place for learning, and it doesn't really seem like Mafia Don wants to learn anything, because he says stuff like, "We don't need Gordon Ramsay," and that's just stupid. Like, why would you say that about Gordon Ramsay? He's helping the team. Like, he came over and helped them once. He's helping them to do better.
Yes.
So.
But he was very kind about it, and very, and so they wouldn't get upset and be stressed out and worried. He was very calming and helpful and kind. And I appreciated that a lot.
And that's mostly it with this episode.
Yeah, it really was kind of uneventful.
Because
the events that happened,
it was predictable.
We already knew they were going to happen.
Yeah.
We knew this. In fact, we knew this probably the second episode. Whatever episode it was that girl who had epilepsy was sent home instead of this kid.
Well, no, that in that episode it should have been the Starla and then that one little boy, because remember they both stood around and did nothing while she was actually doing something.
Yeah.
So it should have been one of them that got sent home. I don't think it was Moffat. I think that was the one good episode that he had. Good team episode. So, Safi, you're about to fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious because you have like one eye open a little bit and then the other eye is closed. It's like you're just you falling asleep. Safi,
What?
wake up now.
Okay.
What are you
we
doing?
about done now?
Yeah, it's just you fell asleep live on camera while I was saying that you're falling asleep.
Well, it's getting late. I had to go to the doctor today, and it's just always stressful. I hate going because it's just a pain in the rear, and I have a ton to do.
What's worse, Safi?
And it was raining, and I was late. And
What's worse, though? Being on a team with Mafia Don or going to the doctor? Ooh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, it is.
That's an actual hard decision instead of like at the end of the episode where they actually pretended that it was a hard decision whether or not to send Mafia Don home.
And look, he started to screw up at the very beginning
Yeah.
of the challenge all the way to the end. He didn't stop. He kept making mistake after mistake because he refused to listen. He wouldn't listen. And then he just would, in fact, he made assumptions. My God, he better learn this now. You never make assumptions. My mom used to say something like, to assume is to be a fool. And there was one thing, I don't know if I can explain it, but, they have people sitting at different size tables, right?
He assumed he was told to make 3 calamari, and he assumed that they were at 3 different tables.
Why that matters anyway? What do they have to do with anything? I didn't get that.
I guess because they want to get each table done first. So like, you have 1 scallop and 1 calamari at one table. You want to get that table done first, and then you go to the next table. Like, you don't jump around to different tables. You want to have it be synchronized.
And she told, this is the girl who's in charge, who I refer to as the librarian.
Yeah, she looks like a school librarian.
She said, I told him to just do all 3. And why? Because so they cook the same and it would be easier.
So that they're all done. So
Yeah.
it's the same table. They should all be done at the same time.
And he just he could not understand it.
He didn't care.
She explained it several times. And so I think Gordon came over there and he wanted to know what the hell is going on. And she explained it. And he said, and then he started to say what you're saying, right? That why didn't you want to do all 3? And he said, well, because I thought they were sitting at different tables. And Ramsey is looking very confused, and he said, well, how did you figure that? He said, you should never assume anything like that. And it has nothing to do with it anyway.
Yeah.
And so.
Really, what the problem is? The problem isn't him. The problem isn't Mafia Don. The problem is the judges should have sent him home episodes and episodes ago. He should have already been home by now, because he just wasn't up to the challenge of being in the top 6. I mean, he had terrible team challenge etiquette, and so they should have sent him home a long time ago. And so the fact that they kept him here leads me to believe that either they'll ignore how shitty he is in team challenges because of some factor, like maybe it's because of his talent or because of some other reason that we don't even know about. Wink, wink. And then the other thing that could be is that, I don't know, like they're literally just that stupid that they'll just keep him there. Like they want him to boost the ratings or something. Like they think having someone there who's problematic is more entertaining. It's not. This episode wasn't very entertaining to watch except for the beginning because it was so predictable and because he was putting that other girl in jeopardy of going home. And so it was really not fun to watch because the whole time I was thinking, uh-oh, they've already kept Mafia Don here a million weeks in a row. Maybe they'll send Ava home and they'll keep Mafia Don another week. Like they did last week where they gave him immunity. And it was a cringeworthy face-palming thing where it was painful because we both knew that he was going to come to this week and he was going to be trash. So it's really the judge's fault. It's not his fault. He just has a lot to learn and he has a lot more experience to get before he... I mean, I guess it's his fatal flaw is that he can't work well with others. And he just needs to improve on that, and then he'll be a better chef. And then Safi will finally wake the hell up. Safi.
Well, I like to see that with that. Anyway.
Well, that's just what needs to happen. Like, he doesn't need to... The thing is that they're hurting him more than they're helping him because they're keeping him there. And you saw that he was like, I'm in the top 6. I don't need Gordon Ramsay. And they gave him that mindset of being in the top 6 when he didn't deserve it.
No, he sure didn't.
So that's my opinion. Safi, what would you rate this episode? Rate it. Safi, wake up and rate it.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Rate it.
With the other episodes? I say it was one of the better ones.
No, rate it in terms of letters.
Oh, I'm sorry. This just shows how tired.
Damn it, Safi.
I give it an A.
Really?
Yeah, I'll give it an A. But it was kind of boring, I thought.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the food at all. I guess
the food was weird.
The steak was the only thing I liked.
Let's see. I liked the...
I'm not eating calamari.
I like
so gross.
I like the scallops. I guess I'd have to taste it. I'd have to taste it all. The thing that didn't look good was the calamari because it looked like a typical calamari dish where you have like a salad of things and then you have a calamari. And the only time I've ever had calamari was at Carrabba's. And the waitress there said it was the greatest thing on the menu. And she's like, you should really get the calamari. It's to die for. And then we got the calamari, and they were these little rubber bands fried in fry batter. And it was so gross. Ugh. Ugh. I only ate like one, and then I didn't eat any more because it was so gross. So I don't know. This episode, on one hand, it's satisfying to see Mafia Don finally go home. On the other hand, it wasn't fun to see him sabotaging his team. So I would give this episode a B, because I just can't give it an A. Safi, wake up. Oh, she's still sleeping. Okay. Safi.
What?
Get up. We're doing a review.
Okay, well, what did you rate it?
I gave it a B because although it was satisfying seeing Mafia... Oh, she fell asleep again.
No, I didn't.
It was satisfying seeing him go home.
Yes, it was.
But
very satisfying.
But
it wasn't...
It wasn't entertaining to see him sabotaging the team.
The entire episode.
And endangering that other girl of going home when she wasn't doing anything wrong.
And they would try to include her in the wrongdoing.
Yeah.
And it was just so unfair.
They're
Now, they
saying she wasn't speaking up.
They couldn't pick on the little girl because she was cooking the bass, and she was very singularly possessed with cooking it properly, and she did it. In fact, at the end of the episode, they said she had cooked done the most outstanding job of the whole team that night, and so she got to leave, and then it was between Ava, the librarian, and that kid.
And the problem is that he would not listen to her at all. No matter what.
No.
There was no way for him to listen to her at all. So you can't blame her.
No. And I actually was kind of scared they were going to send her home.
And Safi, you know what's funny? That was the exact same thing that happened in season 1, where you had this piece of shit child actor, Troy, this bully, who was bullying the littlest girl on the show. And she was team captain, and he would not listen to her at all. And then he actually was telling her what to do. And so then what happened was he sabotaged the entire team as predicted. And guess who they sent home?
The little girl.
Yeah. Because they said she needed to stand up for herself against Troy. Like, he's like 5 years older than her, and he's a fucking bully. So that was terrible. And so it was a mirror of that moment. And it was I was glad that didn't happen again, where they sent home somebody who didn't do anything wrong because another member on the team was sabotaging them. Although it wasn't bad, it wasn't as bad as season 1, so it wasn't that bad.
No, like I said, of course, I didn't see some of those other seasons, but
Yeah, you should. You'll never want to watch the show again.
Seeing somebody just mess up over and over and over and over again, and with no end in sight. And he has messed up like we said last week, he's messed up every episode he's been in. If they've been on a team challenge, okay? And in fact, having him on your team was bad luck, I would say.
Yeah, it was a death sentence.
Yeah, and what happened was too, because he would be on this team, some particular team, and he would mess it up, somebody else would get sent home.
Yeah.
Not him. Although you didn't tell me what he said at the end.
Well, I was getting to that.
Okay, well, please get to that, because I just can't even believe it.
Because I was going to say
it's typical.
I was going to say that she couldn't have done anything to take charge over him, because even at the end of the episode, he said some bullshit about you guys were putting too much pressure on me with the steak. I had too much pressure on me on the steak. I had too much pressure.
That's just bizarre. They showed because there wasn't much to show. This was a little bit of a boring episode.
Yeah.
There's only 6 kids, right, at this time. 3 on one team, 3 on the other, and they're pretty much side by side cooking. And they would show him, and nobody was talking to him. I mean, he was cooking. He was supposed to be paying attention to what he's doing, and he wasn't, because he kept effing up.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to repeat it, what he was doing. You'll have to watch the episode if you're interested. And tell me what you think of this meal. If you want to eat
just watch
pieces of calamari.
Yeah, just watch the beginning of the episode where all the kids make cringe faces as they see the sushi food prepared.
I wouldn't want to touch that.
I would want to eat the scallops, though.
I don't care for scallops either, but at least it didn't look unappetizing.
Yeah. So, Safi.
Okay, well, if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel so you can participate in discussions in the commentary too. We would like to hear from you. We want to hear what you think about it. If you thought, as we did, that he should have been sent home weeks ago instead of jeopardizing everybody else's time on the show. And maybe I'm being unfair because it really was their responsibility to get through. But I'm telling you, he was like a bad luck charm. Because every single team challenge he was on, if you were with him, you were probably in danger of getting sent home. Because he would mess it up and somebody else would get blamed. Or I don't know what was going on there. But somebody else would go home. Not him.
Yeah.
Finally, there's just so few kids left.
They're like, oh, I
can't
guess
avoid
we
it.
should. I guess we should finally send him home now.
Yes.
I guess we can't pretend like we can't anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we
They
said,
tried though. They tried.
Yeah. Well, last week, I think they were prepared to send him home.
Yeah.
And what happened was he did an outstanding job on his. See, they were cooking as a team. They were cooking on their own, and so he cooked on his own, and he was actually focused for a change, because he's not the most focused person. That's another part of his problem. And he did an excellent job, and so he got outstanding, and he got to go upstairs and not have to worry about competing anymore because he did such a good job. And I think it seemed like they were disappointed because I think they wanted to send him home last week, and they couldn't do it because he was safe.
Well, it just shows he is a good cook, but
Yes, he is.
he has a lot to learn, as I said.
He needs to learn to be on a team. He really doesn't know how, and that's bad. If he is in a business and he can't cook everything himself, he's going to have help. And
yeah, like with that offer show, the way that it's not just one person making the movie.
no, not at all.
It's a lot of people.
And it all comes together like an orchestra playing a piece.
Yeah.
Where all the parts are there and they all fit in together. And anyway, well, I think we've gone on enough about him, but it's really,
long overdue.
It's long overdue, and both Marco and I are pleased that it finally happened. I really don't want to disparage kids, especially because.
Well, I was disparaging the judges.
Yes,
I was
their fault.
disparaging them for keeping him there
Because
longer.
they weren't doing him any favors.
Yeah. They were
At all.
hurting him instead of helping him.
And they hurt the people who had to go home instead of him.
Because what they could have done was what they do with the adults, where it's like, you're going home, but we're going to give you 10 weeks of apprenticeship under Aaron.
Yeah.
Gordon's bitch. So, Safi?
Okay, well, goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.